Anyway, I'm sure the video will explain it.
Plenary authority.
Hi, Hasan.
Plenary authority. Remember that. That's what he's claiming. At least now we know that his fear response is...
Stephen Miller basically communicates that the administration has plenary authority all the time without using those exact words. So I do kind of feel as though maybe liberals are...
What did you call me?
...are looking at this and reading too much into it, because that is what they're doing. I don't understand like what the distinction is there, you know?
So I figured I'd address this, not just because I appreciate the feature, thank you, but if you're wondering this, I know you're not alone. I did mention this briefly in my video, but I could have explained it a little better. So Stephen Miller, as unhinged as that little man is actually incredibly precise with his language, especially in legal contexts. In fact, most of Trump's smarter aides, barely, are. I think the perfect example of it is actually from a few weeks ago, when Trump signed an executive order like banning flag burning, which, as you and I both know, is not how that works. In the video, even though it's not Stephen Miller himself, he's obviously standing right there, the guy who hands Trump the executive order and explains what's in it uses really, really precise language.
What the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail.
Okay, that's enough of that. So what the executive order actually does is say that people who are caught burning flags are going to be investigated to see if they could be prosecuted for any other type of crime. So quite literally, not even pretending to criminalize flag burning, technically, legally, officially. Stephen Miller even plays the exact same sort of game in his CNN interview at one point. When asked if he's actually going to charge protesters and whatnot with terrorism, he admits it's kind of difficult because the law needs to be strengthened, and then goes on to say this.
To the extent that there are charges that apply, we will charge them in every single case.
So the reason it's a big deal for Stephen Miller to use the word plenary in this specific context is because the administration, as you know, is currently fighting in court, arguing and claiming certain authorities over sending the National Guard into states without permission or consent from the governors. And in court, they're probably not going to be outright claiming that he has plenary authority, at least not right now, because any sane judge would rule against them in a heartbeat. Obviously, we know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they know we know what they're doing. But the point is, in court, they basically have to claim that they're drawing within the lines as much as possible. But if they are also caught on camera claiming that there are no lines, that can really easily destroy their argument that they understand where those lines are and they intend to respect them. That's basically it. It's not a surprise that that's what they're thinking, but it's a bad move for them to admit it in such explicit legal terms, which plenary powers and plenary authority are. And as to another question or point you kind of raised,
I guess the interesting part about this is like whether CNN actually cut it because it was just like dead air and a glitch, or whether it's because they are like in on it.
So I know a lot of people are treating this like some sort of conspiracy that CNN was in on and they covered it up. What I think is far more likely is that the editor or even the intern did their job as they normally do, which would include cutting out technical difficulties parts, etc. Especially because when they came back, Sanchez reiterated the question and gave Miller a second chance to respond, which he did, and he dropped the word plenary from that response. The one place that I get a little conspiratorial here is I think that there is a minute possibility that when Stephen Miller said the word plenary and realized that it could put them in legal jeopardy, froze, not out of fear or technical difficulty, but because he knew that that would waste the clip. Now, did he have the wherewithal to do that, and was that planned? Who knows? There's no way of knowing. The use of the word is important, not because it reveals anything groundbreaking, though even just based on the number of people in my comments claiming that yes, in fact, Trump does have plenary powers should be a claim that we don't let them get away with making. A huge part of their strategy is about maintaining plausible deniability, especially in legal contexts. Hope that makes sense. Thanks for sharing my clip.